Chatham Ontario at the 5th annual CK Expo. Jonathan and I were just kind of chatting back and forth, and we were thinking of just adding some stuff to our content and do something different for our loyal viewers, all of you out there. So what we want to do is kind of maybe start off with doing some kind of tech talk about some of the equipment that we use. We're out here, perfect opportunity. We've got all of our equipment hanging out for public viewing. So the ones that we're going to want to talk about first of all is probably our two EMF detectors here, the Mel Meter, the classic Mel 8704, and the K2 meter. So these are both devices used to detect electromagnetic fields, and the theory is with a high enough electromagnetic field you can experience a sense of paranoia, creepy crawly feelings. So feeling as though it is something paranormal in your house, when all it is extremely high electromagnetic fields that are being kicked off. EM fields can be actually emitted by pretty much everything, like television, cell phones kick off a lot of EMF. Anything electrical will kick off an EM field, and that includes like fans. We've seen instances where people experience paranormal activity, particularly when they're sleeping in bed, which again is another topic I want to get into later in regards to sleep paralysis. But they would have a clock radio sitting beside their bed, and the clock radio would just register like 3 milligauss or higher, and it would just be bombarding their head with EM fields, which would make them think that there is something paranormal going on in their house. You ask them to move the clock radio to the other side of the room, and their problems all disappear. Now, there is also theory that entities themselves can exhibit EM radiation. We don't know how, we don't know why, and we're not even sure if that's really what is going on. But we have experienced on our own in houses, and you've seen probably on our videos, where we would register an odd EM field. The universe will kick off its own electromagnetic field, and you will always register something, and usually the Mel meter will balance that out and register at 0.0 as it is doing right now. Sometimes it can go up a little bit higher. I remember there was one house that we were investigating in London that the ambient was around 0.5 or 0.6, and he had high tension power lines running right through his backyard. Another one of our classic cases, one of our original cases, was in London, and the house, we were registering like 3 milligauss, and what we discovered was that they had overhead fluorescent lights and underground wiring going through the same location in the basement, and what that wound up creating was an entire, it's called a fear cage, where the entire room is just flooded with EMF. Now, those were ones that we were able to explain. There have been cases where we run across EM fields out in the wild, in the middle of the room, where we get like a 1.0, a 2.0, a 3.0, and sometimes it'll gradually increase and then drop off to 0. With the Mel meter, it's kind of, it's extremely stable, yes. It measures a stable field.
Right, the K2 is going off, and my cell phone's over here. I don't know if I'm hitting it. So you have another one there.
Yeah. There's another cell phone that's sitting not too far away from it.
So, but 30 seconds ago it was turned off.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't registering.
So now it's settled back down to 0.
So when you have a conductor or a wire, what happens when you pass a current through it, it builds an electromagnetic field in a radius around it. And the more current you put through it, the larger the field is around it, and that's what these are picking up. So in certain cases, mostly in houses where you have ungrounded wiring, there's nowhere for that field to be cut, to be dissipated back into the earth. So newer homes, we have less EMF registering with us. When we do a baseline read, we'll get a very, very low baseline read, like a 0 or maybe a 0.1 in certain areas. Generally, those areas are around fluorescent light fixtures, which again have a ballast. Okay, and a ballast is basically like a transformer. So you have multiple coils of wire creating an electromagnetic field. So the older homes, generally we can run into having a higher EMF field because there's nowhere for this field to be dissipated back into the earth by what now electrical codes have as a ground wire. So some of the older homes we run into a higher level of EMF, but as Bryce was saying, some electronics give it off as well.
Particularly like wireless networking and stuff.
Wireless networking, motors are another one, ballasts and fluorescent lighting. Those are all ones that give off what we call a higher level of EMF. But usually we can get out of that field and the levels will drop within the house. So we can figure out that, okay, in this room it's a little bit higher concentrated around the ceiling fan when it's working, well that's the motor. But standing in the middle of the living room at table height and suddenly we have an electromagnetic field and there's no electronic devices or motors around that are generating it, then we have something we can potentially look at, as a, something to investigate further to see if we can rule it out.
So this is where the Mel meter measures a good, strong, stable field. And if the field is a constant and it's raising, you will see it happen. Where with the K2 is extremely sensitive. You could sneeze and it will go off. Like you can see it's doing right now from the cell phones and the Wi-Fi in this place. The reason why I like the K2, a lot of paranormal investigators really downplay it because of its extreme sensitivity. But the thing I love about the K2 is its extreme sensitivity. You can trace out an electromagnetic field with the K2 by going and you bring it into a location and you can see it raises and you can pull it back and you can find out where that field stops so that you can actually trace the ball, the electromagnetic ball that's around that object. So what is really interesting is when you're investigating in a house, and like Jonathan said, when you're in the middle of the room and the Mel meter is registering a 3.0 in the middle of the room and it makes no sense because there's no electromagnetic field. You pull out the K2 and you trace out this ball floating in the middle of the room that's just kind of hovering there.
We've traced out.
Yeah, we traced out
human forms.
Yeah,
standing in the middle of the room that, and over the course of the next several minutes, we've been able to have it move. We've moved and it has moved with us. So where we were,
or we've chased them around,
or we've moved with them. Either or. So it's really good for doing that.
Like I remember one of the ones was at the Capitol Theater.
Yep.
And we were in the basement, and I had my trusty K2 meter, and I'm chasing something around in the basement because I would walk forward, and the K2 meter would light up to yellow, and then would drop down. and I'd step forward, it would light back up to yellow, and then it would drop down, and I'd step forward, and it's like I could chase it around the basement.
Yep.
So yeah, that in a nutshell.
I mean, we've done yes/no questions with it too.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, again, whether it's evidence or not is still highly debatable and highly controversial. If what we get is anything paranormal in particular, I wouldn't write off saying that yes, for sure it is something paranormal.
No.
I write it off as saying it's interesting.
Absolutely. It's a potential communication.
Exactly.
You know, it's another tool that we have used in the past.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not hard evidence.
Yeah, exactly. It's not hard concrete evidence. I would never say, oh my God, the K2 is going off, it must be a ghost. It's, oh my God, the K2 is going off, this is weird.
Why?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I always try my best whenever I'm using the K2 or the Mel Meter to isolate where that source is coming from and to eliminate any possibilities. I always check for my cell phone. I try to make sure that I leave my cell phone back at base or in my car, powered off, in airplane mode. So in that way, it's not kicking off any kind of EM field whatsoever.
Absolutely. And you know, they work well. I like working well with them together.
Yes.
You know, it's great when we bring out both of them because you have one to bounce off the other.
Yes.
You know, and the K2 being so sensitive, the Mel being so stable, you know, and you know, we've had it before where we've had the Mel Meter picking up a constant 1.0 and
or even a 3. I've seen 3.0.
3.0, but the K2 hasn't registered.
Exactly.
So you know, they're really good at balancing each other out in an investigation. So you know, they're both an important tool, and I think, you know, for serious investigators, I think that really you have to have both.
Yeah.
In the beginning, a K2 is a great one because it's, you know, half the price.
Yeah, it's half the price and it's immediate, instant results.
Absolutely.
Now, you were also talking about talking earlier before about tri-field and
yep. Single axis, dual axis, tri-fields. Yeah. I mean, you know, there's multiple EMF detectors out there. You know, depending on the range of price that you're looking for, depends on what you want it to do. A K2 is a very basic meter. It's very inexpensive. It's got instantaneous results, and it's a long time proven. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a proven meter to work for what we do. The Mel meters, again, they're a long time proven, but they're a higher amount of money, you know, and they have extra features now on them which are quite nice. They have temperature probes on them, you know, which also can be kind of nice for when you're trying to find cold spots. You know, if you want to go into that area as well, you know, ambient temperature, which is really can be a factor as well sometimes. You know, depending on what you like to or how you like to investigate. You know, so and then you know there's tri-field meters which are far more advanced.
And they would measure on the X, Y, and Z axis.
Yeah, they measure on those. So
just so people kind of, when they hear tri-field, that they know.
Tri-field, yeah, you're measuring your X, your Y, your Z, so your horizontal, your vertical.
This is just measuring in one
direction.
One direction, where this is, I think, measuring.
I believe that one measures both.
It measures the X and the Y.
Yeah.
So that's why, well, also when you're using these in tandem to move these around to see, you know, this is picking up a 3.0. Well, where's it getting 3.0 from? Is it coming from the X, the Y, the Z? So my ideal, and this is something that I want to work towards to building, and I think it's possible. Like I was talking about those chasing the EM fields.
that would definitely be something that would be very interesting to try.
Is like I do know with the Arduino.
Yep.
With the Arduino circuit board, you can build very simply an EMF detector.
Yep.
And the Arduino board can output whatever the EM field that it's receiving is from the antenna. And a Raspberry Pi board can receive that information and process that information. It's a mini computer. So you can use something to actually be able to, I think first step what I would like to work on or see, or if someone out there is technologically savvy that can also help out with this, that would be phenomenal, is having an EMF detector that registered 3 axes and not just said 3.0 in one direction.
Right.
That it said X is giving
left, right.
Yeah, X is giving a 0.5, Y is giving a 1.2, and Z is giving a 2.5. So then you can kind of move this around and be able to see where it's going.
Yeah.
And then the next step from there, what I would like to see is actually have a like an RC car essentially that would be loaded up with EMF that would be able to move when the EM field moves, to move with it and be able to keep recording while it's moving with it. So
I think it'd be really nice just to have like a tri-field EMF detector that records, so you can go back on your tape, you know, like we're recording right now, and we can go back and we can sync it.
yeah,
So when we turn around and we go, hey, you know, the K2 went off, well, we know that, you know, at 10 o'clock it went off. Well, at 10 o'clock, this meter registered that, you know, it was a little bit more to the left, you know, and that would be something that would be really different, that you know, the evidence that you can't get right now, or information, I should say more so than evidence, information that you can't get right now.
exactly.
You know, unless you actually turn it.
Yeah,
Hey, there it is. Well, you know, and that's the thing with the K2 is it's kind of a range. It doesn't give you a number like the Mel Meter does.
right.
But the Mel Meter sometimes is so stable that
it's fluctuating up and down, and you're just getting that 2.0, where it could be like 1.9, 1.6, 1.7, 2.4,
Exactly.
and it's bouncing through
something
there
a little bit,
Yeah,
because this is so sensitive and it reads so rapidly, where this is so much, it takes a little bit longer for it to register because it requires so much more of a stable field.
yes.
So having something kind of the best of both worlds.
The best of both worlds. Yeah.
Something that's a little bit more stable than the K2,
Yep.
but we can still go back and review the data.
Exactly. It recorded that. It recorded that to an SD card, even if it just recorded the numbers with a timestamp to the SD card.
Absolutely.
So we could say, like every minute, at 10:01 p.m., this is what it registered.
Especially when you go into places, you know, like the last investigation that we did, when we went into the barn, and there's no hydro in the barn, right? There's no overhead power lines near the barn.
Exactly.
There's no underground power lines near there.
There was no wiring to that
There was
barn
no
whatsoever.
wiring around it or to it, and hadn't been for years. So if you get an EMF hit off of it, well, why?
Yeah.
Where? You know, with the K2, unfortunately, it's just there,
Yes.
right? You know, so it kind of leaves it a little bit more open.
So you're thinking even a step further past that, a more pie in the sky would be to probably even GPS stamp. Like that would be the pie in the sky. The absolute best would be
If you could do,
location stamp. Bam, we got
if you
an
could,
anomaly.
if you could take a reading of 180 degrees, right? GPS stamp and coordinated it,
Yeah.
right? And It's almost, the ultimate thing would be that Connect,
Yeah.
right? But an EMF version of the Connect,
Yes.
right? I mean, they're
Oh yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I went cruising looking for one of those one day, just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, $1,500 US, and I go, wow.
All right. So if there's anybody out there that is any kind of technologically savvy and has some knowledge and likes what we're kind of planning out here, what we're brainstorming here, let us know. And yeah.